It was in prison I learned to count cards.
The story of an ex-military interrogator turned gambler haunted by the ghosts of his past. The film, written and directed by Schrader, follows William Tell, Oscar Isaac, a gambler and former serviceman who sets out to reform a young man seeking revenge on a mutual enemy from their past. Tell just wants to play cards. His Spartan existence on the casino trail is shattered when he is approached by Cirque, a vulnerable and angry young man seeking help to execute his plan for revenge on a retired military major. Tell sees a chance at redemption through his relationship with Cirque. Gaining backing from mysterious gambling financier Lalinda, Tell takes Cirque with him on the road, going from casino to casino until the unlikely trio set their sights on winning the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. But keeping Cirque on the straight and narrow proves impossible, dragging Tell back into the darkness of his past. In narration, William Tell, Oscar Isaac, explains how he never thought he'd be able to handle a life of confinement but was sentenced to a long prison sentence where he learned to appreciate the routine and to count cards. He explains the math of it: travels casino to casino, counting cards, cashing out small but substantial winnings, preferring to bet small and win small to not draw attention to himself. In his motel rooms, he covers every piece of furniture with sheets and wraps them up with twine. While watching a poker tournament, he catches the eye of Lalinda, Tiffany Haddish, who recognizes him from the gambling circuits. Lalinda wants to know how he gets away with counting cards, and he explains when he keeps the amounts low no one cares. Lalinda manages a stable of gamblers and helps them get staked by deep pockets for big poker tournaments and making everyone involved lots of money. She is interested in working with him, but he tells her that he prefers to be under the radar and politely declines. In Atlantic City, he sees an advertisement for a lecture from Major John Gordo, Willem Dafoe, on interrogation techniques. William goes in and sits in on part of the seminar, but leaves partway through. He is stopped by another audience member, Cirque, Ty Sheridan, who tells William he knows who he is and gives him a card with his contact information. That night, William has nightmares about his time working as a soldier at the Abu Ghraib prison, witnessing and participating in the torture and abuse of prisoners. This is what sent him to prison. He wakes up from the nightmares and contacts Cirque to set up a meeting. William and Cirque meet for a drink, and Cirque reveals he knows William's real name, William Tillich. Cirque explains that his father was also a soldier at Abu Ghraib and that he has researched everything he can about it. Cirque also knows that Major Gordo was the one who implemented and installed the torture methods at Abu Ghraib, but because he was a private contractor, he could not be prosecuted, unlike the soldiers like William and Cirque's father. Only the people in the photos that got out went to jail. Cirque tells William how after his father went to prison, he became an addict and physically abused him and his mother, leaving his mother to flee in the middle of the night, and then eventually to his father committing suicide. Cirque tells William the real people responsible for Abu Ghraib have never paid, and he thinks William might want to join in on his plan to capture, torture, and kill Gordo. William tells Cirque revenge is a bad idea. William invites Cirque to join him on his gambling tour, telling him it gets lonely and he'd like company. Cirque agrees, and the two begin to get to know each other a little on their drive to the next casino. William gives Cirque some money to do some gambling of his own and instructs him with tips on how to make money in a casino. He calls Lalinda and tells her he's had second thoughts and would be interested in making the big money by playing poker staked by one of her backers. Lalinda meets up with them and tells her he only wants to make enough money to have a nest egg and then he's out, 1 year only. Revenge on Gordo by tranquilizing him and torturing him the way prisoners were tortured, but William describes in detail how horrific the prison was. William plays in his first poker tournament and does well, making him and Lalinda a good amount of money. She asks him what his plans are after, but he just goes back to his motel alone. That night, William has more memories of Abu Ghraib and when Gordo arrived. Gordo took a liking to William. The next day, on their way to their next casino, William drives Cirque by his former prison and says he's made arrangements for a visit. He asks Cirque to come in with him, but he refuses, despite William's insistence. Later, Cirque shows William that he was able to get Gordo's address and look up pictures of it on Google Earth. Cirque asks William if he likes La Linda and ends up asking him when the last time he got laid was, offending William, who asks him when the last time he saw his mother was. He tells Cirque he'll get laid when Cirque goes and sees his mother. Cirque asks him what Abu Ghraib was like, and William explains the term tilt, how soldiers applied more and more force until they completely lost sight on the objective. He says any man can tilt. At the next tournament, La Linda asks Cirque what the truth about William is, but he claims not to know. William once again does very well in the tournament. La Linda wants to know why he only wants to play for this short stretch, and William tells her that he's just doing it long enough to make enough money so that Cirque can pay his debts and resume his education. La Linda takes William to a botanical garden where they take in the sights and eventually hold hands. When he returns, he invites Cirque to his motel room. Cirque is shocked by the way everything is covered in sheets. William suddenly starts acting creepily and Cirque tries to leave, but William shouts at him frighteningly. The next time he tries to get up, William hits him. He makes him an offer. He gives him a duffel with enough money to pay off his debt, his mother's debt, and set him up back in school. He tells him he can have it if he goes and sees his mother and makes things good. He has found his mother and has her address. He tells him he's been playing the tournaments for him. Cirque agrees to the deal. William goes to La Linda's hotel room and tells her that he made a promise to Cirque before he left, and finally kisses her. And the next morning William happily shows her video of Cirque FaceTiming with his mother, who is happy to hear from him. At the poker tournament, William is doing very well, until it is down to him, the reigning champion, and one other man. William checks his phone and sees a text from Cirque, "Wish you were here," and a photo of Gordo's house. Horrified, William leaves the game as La Linda looks on in shock. In his room, William Googles news stories and finds one. He plays the video where the reporter says that Army veteran Major Gordo was attacked and shot at by an intruder, but that Gordo shot back and killed the intruder. William can barely react, deep in horror. Later, Gordo returns to his home to find William has him at gunpoint. Gordo recognizes him and says he feels bad he went to prison, and William tells him the boy he shot was also the son of a soldier who went to prison. He tells Gordo they are going in the next room to do a reenactment and only one will come out alive. They go until the next room and screams are heard until the next morning, when William emerges, bloody. He calls the police to report a murder. Back in prison, William is told he has a visitor. He is led out to find La Linda. She smiles and reaches her hand out to the glass. He reaches back at her, and their hands hover there together.